You write a really interesting post or article around, I think you mentioned like Djokovic, Messi, Ronaldo, Tiger Woods, and you were talking about how they've got a very dark shadow, they've got a very like narcissistic side, but that's actually their superpower as well. So tell us like more how you analyse them.
I've seen in 17 years of playing, 13 years of coaching. That's 30 years now in professional sport. 5 years in business, but it's all the same. I think sport's far harder than business. I'll say that. I've got 3 businesses, doesn't touch sport. No one gives a shit. It's why CEOs buy football clubs, to get some fame and notoriety. No one gives a shit. Got 200 million, no one cares. Who are you?
Yeah.
You own a football club, you're now in the media every day.
Yeah.
So football's tough, like sport's tough.
Yeah.
You're judged publicly. You've been in the CEO Academy from the age of 7. I've never met a CEO who was specialising at 7. Usually went to uni, got pissed, went into sales and started a company. Or at 7, you're in at tennis at what, 6? You're in.
Yeah.
You're in, living it, watching it. So, I think. Remind me of the question again. I've gone off on a tangent.
No, just around you. The thing was around they've got a very strong shadow, but they channel it in a certain way.
I just think. I just think that. Sorry, that's what I was saying. I've seen 30 years. What I've seen grow. Because I went through when I became a professional in 1995, you're still in the old school then.
Yeah.
I was coming in, there was still a lot of old school, out drinking, players training with bin bags on under their tops to sweat out the alcohol. It was old school.
Yeah.
But it was right at the end of the old school. So I caught the last 2-3 years, then I caught the movement into the new school. You go from pre-season where it's just running up hills to all of a sudden blood tests are getting done. You're barely breaking a sweat in week 1 because it's all on heart rate. So I saw the transit. I lived in both worlds. The old school in all of it, there was parts of that which were really wrong. Bullying, racism, shaming. It was all ugly stuff. I mean, some of the stuff that I went through as a 17, 18-year-old young professional, that wouldn't even be deemed anywhere near acceptable today. There'd be serious issues. I think what happened is, and it was wrong, I think because of that, and then the mental health growth, and then the constant search for higher performance, it moved into all this too far. I think it's gone too far.
The other side,
The other side. It's a simple, life's really simple. Nature shows us it's a balance. pH levels in water, it's a balance. And I think it's gone so far. And I think the Wellbeing movement that's popped up and all these people who really mean well and they're passionate and they want to help, they're all avoiding the darkness. I saw a guy the other day on LinkedIn. It's like, we're going to barefoot walking and breath work and ice water. And okay. And I've got a clothing brand and big brand coming out middle of this year with a clothes designer who's a friend of mine. Sweat and courage, but we're doing all this kind of stuff. In the factory in China, we're having the ice baths made because I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. But I said, I'm sick of this shit of people going in ice baths. It's horrific. There's not one bit of that's nice. Sat in there yesterday for 10 minutes. Hate it. Why are we doing it? Darkness. So I said, on the lid, can we print this in the factory? So I've printed something like stop. Why the hell are you doing this? It's 1 degree. Stand still for a second and anchor with all your demons. What burdens do you carry? What overwhelms you? What terrifies you? Sit with that for a minute. Now I'm going to try and get in there because it's a letting go process. I'm saying I did in the ice today and it's not fucking jolly. Like it's horrific. So it's like, can we go into the darkness first? What terrifies you? What overwhelms you? My mother's got cancer. I've just found out my wife's pregnant. Okay, you might want to try and let go of some stuff.
Yes.
And I think we're bypassing all of that.
Yeah.
And I see it in the psychology work with athletes. I see it, it's really dangerous and it's damaging. I'm fighting a bit of a lone furrow with this, but I've got a voice. Our union, the Professional Footballers Association, bought my education off me. I'm now teaching the next level of footballers are going to be coaches on emotional intelligence. But it's dark stuff. It's the truth.
Yeah.
And we've got to go in there. And I think there's a bypassing of all of that.
Yeah.
And so to go to the point about Djokovic and Woods, and if they're winning, if they're winning, everyone's happy. But as long as they're nice little boys, it's bullshit.
Yeah, definitely.
I sat with a golfer years ago. He was on the tour, he was snapping his clubs at the time and doing all this stuff. And he'd thrown a club at a caddy, And I said, we were sitting, I said, who's the most fine player in golf? I don't know. He's like, well, just Google it, Tiger Woods. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's that? So you just start to go, the winner. Yeah. There's fallout from the winner.
Yes.
You saw Djokovic 2 days ago as he went for someone in the crowd. Fantastic.
I think he smashed 44 rackets in his career.
44 rackets, and still at 36 with more Grand Slams than anyone, is still going for someone in the crowd who dares to cross him. It's the winner. You don't come in here. That level of self-boundarying is why he's exceptional. And it links completely and controversially to the vaccine. It wasn't about a vaccination. I was observing that going, here's a guy who currently is making a stand for something against the whole world at that point, and prepared to take everything on the other side of that. And Jordan Peterson talks about authenticity. You'll have the adventure of a lifetime. Yeah. Unbelievable things will happen. But it's completely dangerous and wrought with insecurity and uncertainty. But you're whole. And I just watched this man going, I'm not doing that.
Yes.
And I saw all the tennis players coming on. Murray's brother interviewed, mocking him at the Australian Open that year. I saw them all and I thought, you little boys. Yeah. So I've been there as a player, little boys in the locker room. Who the fuck gives, at the end of your playing career, no one cares about you, man. Yeah. They care about him. His CV is and he's still here 3 years on, seeing them all off. It's like Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yeah. And just this week, being back at the Australian Open, I'm thinking the link to that moment in the vaccine 3 years on, where he was shamed publicly, called a criminal. Yeah. And all I was observed was never about any of that. I was going, here's a guy who knows himself, who's in touch with his instincts. Yes. Which is why on the court, when other people go under and start steering the ball down, I'm a golfer, I'm in tennis, you must start steering it. And
you get stiff. Yeah.
Okay, there we are. He just, there was a moment in the Wimbledon final, actually, which I saw. What's his?
Alcaraz.
Alcaraz. He was on him, wasn't he? He was putting the heat on him, and there was a moment late on. It's probably 2 sets all. Did it 3-2 in the end? Yeah. 2 sets all, and I think he was like down break point 0-40. I think Djokovic, and Alcaraz had just done another amazing cross court shot. And there's a moment, the camera's on Djokovic. He took a really deep breath, and he kind of went like this, and he just stood and gazed down the court and didn't move, and the camera stayed on him. And then he spat down on the floor, bounced the ball, went ace, and then got back in for juice and whatever. And I had it recorded, so I rewound it and watched that back so many times. And I sent it to a bunch. That's the moment where you go, I'm fucking going under here. Yeah. I'm dying here. I'm fucked. I'm tired. My legs are heavy. Got nothing left. This guy's just smashing me. And you feel it. Yeah. You don't bypass it into, oh, well, come on, remember that shot next time and tough, that one, and you just feel everything. Yeah. The spitting is the winner. Oh, we don't spit here. We fucking do. Bang. I'm going to get all of my self-disgust, anger, rage. It's coming out. Now we go again. Yeah. It's like, wow. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. There was moments with Tiger Woods when he used to spit on the tee, which he revolutionised golf, T-shirts and spitting on tee. No one was doing any. I mean, it was. And it was like this side. It doesn't have to be dangerous serial killing, but there's an energy. Yes. Yeah. The serial killing is definitely an extreme version. Yeah, but it's all related. Yeah. Yeah. I think you brought up something very interesting. A lot of the podcast is called The Cosmic Bridge because it's about balance, right? Well, and who gets that? And then what you're discussing there is, I've got, so I'm 34. I've got 2 older brothers. One is 43, one's 53, right? So people like from your generation, and there's that kind of bridge of how things have changed, right? And I think, as you said, let's just take football as an example. We went from one extreme to the other, like. Gaza and Maradona basically turning up from a nightclub and playing football, but still playing rock very stars. Well, right? Yeah. And now we've gone to this, snowflake generation, whatever you want to call it. And I actually, I'm a Chelsea fan, and funny enough, I saw John Terry give a keynote speech at a business event, and I didn't even know he was speaking. It just happened at the time. But what he was saying, as a coach at Villa versus his time playing, is the culture at Chelsea when Chelsea was successful with Lampard, Drogba, Peter Cech, whatever. There was that shadow, and they were all giving each other feedback, but there was that shadow being very direct with each other, right?
but they were learning from each other, and it was like they were accountable to one another, shouting at each other in the dressing room, right? But they made each other better as a result. And he was saying the difference now is, as a coach, he's got to be very sensitive. He's got to be very careful with everyone's ego and that sensitivity. And I think that shows that we've gone too far in the other direction. You can take this outside of the context of sport and like politics and social media and cancel culture, and that we're not having conversations with each other anymore. And you said a really good thing earlier, like you can't hide from the truth. But people are constantly trying to hide from the truth and just like trying to think, oh, don't say that. If you say something negative to me or criticize me, I'm never going to speak to you again in my life, which is stupid because it's actually that feedback that's going to make us better people.
It's interesting with the whole John Terry, Chelsea, that era, because I played in that era. In fact, I'm 45, so I'm probably about a year older. I remember being in the England under-20 squad for the World Cup, Michael Owen's, Carragher's year.
Yeah.
So I'm probably a year or so older than John Terry, but played against many players, and there's a reason they all fail in management. Because they're emotionally cut off from what they truly felt in that period. Part of my process is realising I could go toe-to-toe with any of them. I was tough, 6'3", head full of scars. Like I'm tough, whatever the hell that means. Well, my spirit's tough. What I think they were able to do, some not conscious of it, just ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
not deep thinker. Not I know. So I'm just in it. But the ones you have to shut down your emotions to survive in there.
Yeah.
And this is what was so confusing for me, and I think also confuses people with me today watching me. They would go, I certainly have had it messaged to me on LinkedIn privately, you were tough. Like, a guy messaged me the other day, I watched your post, you're not throwing elbows around anymore. It's laughing and joking, but people would I wouldn't fuck with him on a football pitch. Yet in any environment like that, I would shrink away from that. Yeah, if the ball was hung up with John Terry, no problem. I'll head the side of your face. We're going to win the ball. I don't give a shit. No, but so it's not a toughness thing. Yeah. The reason they fail in leadership is because, today we have to protect their fragile egos. No, today they're more conscious, these kids. They're more aware. They're still winners. They were born winners, these kids, as you were born a winner. They've just been put into a system which is so heightened now.
True.
He came through when I came through. There wasn't academies. We went into associate schoolboy forms. So we were at school playing Sunday football. Yeah. And then at 14 at Norwich City, I would go and play against Chelsea, and we'd play every weekend. These guys are in it 10 hours a week. I've coached in academies. They're getting indoctrinated with meshes and learnings and they're streams of information, battering them. Yeah, they're still tough. So I don't buy it. I think John Terry's era, a lot of those guys, they're emotionally shut off. Yeah. I know because I've worked with lads at Everton, and they said when Lampard was managing there was moments where we felt him. I said, go on. They said, I felt Lampard in the dressing room at half time, felt his soul. And then walls came back up. And you can see the lads going, come on, this is what we want. This is the fucking leader, come on. And they're waiting for him. And then there's that moment where you can see him going, oh, I'm revealing too much here. I'm now vulnerable. Yeah. I'm going to come back now, and I'm now a coach. It's like, oh, fuck, now you've lost him.
Yeah. So it's the authenticity piece comes back to the self.
But what is authentic? What are you feeling? What did you feel then as a player? These guys walking around like I had no fear. Yeah. Well, fuck off. Because I was tough and I was full of fear. How can you not have fear? Yeah. They're not scared of getting hurt. I've sat with American footballers and big, stacked guys. I'm afraid of getting hurt, sir. I said, I bet you are, man. And can we just talk about that? And then going back to the coaches and going, several of your guys are afraid of getting hurt. And the coach just taking a breath and goes, I was always afraid of getting hurt. Have you ever shared that? No. Oh, fucking hell, what are you all doing here? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's, I think a lot of those guys were emotionally dysfunctional, if I can say that.
Yeah. Subscribe to us across all the podcast platforms and on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Cosmic Bridge.